Hello,
And welcome to our podcast, Wine with
Shelley.
and Shelley.
We are two women passionate about supporting those affected by cancer. Our businesses are dedicated to providing resources and community for people navigating this challenging journey.
Whether you're a cancer survivor, caregiver, or just looking for information, we've got you covered.
On this podcast, we'll be diving into a wide range of topics, from the latest research and treatments to practical tips for coping with the emotional and physical challenges of cancer.
We'll also be sharing inspiring stories, interviewing experts, and exploring the latest trends in cancer care.
Join us as we navigate this journey together.
Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Wine with Shelley and Shelley. Boy, we sure have some exciting news to share with you. First of all, Shelley, I just wanted to let you know that we received a generous donation from a fundraiser this holiday season from Advanced Auto.
Yay, thanks, Advanced Auto. This is wonderful news to hear. Tell us a little bit more, Michelle.
Oh, they have a Deserving Rides event where they give away a car so you submit nominations of people you think are deserving that maybe are going through a hard time, and having a car could really make a difference. Usually those people are wonderful volunteers in the community and those individuals that are always giving back to other people. So it was at this event, we had been presented a check from an October fundraiser, which was called Putting the Brakes on Cancer. So we received just over $2,000, which will go a long way to make a difference this holiday season.
Absolutely.
In the lives of some of our community members that are affected by cancer.
Nice little blessings. It's wonderful to be supported by some of the local smaller businesses and becoming part of a community to support as many as possible. And that's pretty great news. What a great connection. And we're super grateful for that opportunity to have been gifted to help others. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Absolutely. But we also have some other exciting news.
God,
the
what?
audience is not going to want to miss this. We're starting instead of Where's Waldo, Where is Shelley? Do you care to explain that, Shelley?
Well, besides, we had a lot of new stuff, including hair color. We're going with some plum just to start these adventures. So, I think we might have mentioned, but I'm not even sure. We have some fun, exciting news. Sparkling Survivor is going on the road for a couple months. And so that means we'll continue doing podcast YouTubes with Breathe Incorporated and Sparkling Survivor. However, we're going to roll in an RV, and you never know who we might cross paths with. The fun part is it's an adventure. We're looking to just have some freedom and take the road where it leads us. I'm hoping some ocean time is in my future. And a lot of people say, where are you going? I said, I've got some ideas, but we actually don't even have an exact plan. We're just going to take the road and enjoy what freedom brings, and hope that we can cross paths with some pretty cool people along the way.
I have no doubt, Shelley, that wherever you are, there's going to be excitement. And who knows who's going to get pulled for an interview. So stay tuned, because you're not going to want to miss these upcoming episodes.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting for all of us. And then plus we'll have Michelle at some point. I guarantee you she's going to fly down to some place and pop in. So, luckily we have our friend doing all these videography and helping us figure out how we can be on the road, and then have drop-in RV moments with both Shelley and not just, where's Shelley and Sparkling Survivor, but then where the heck did Breathe go?
Yes, and speaking of being on the road, as you know, I just came back from North Carolina, which was a sad occasion. Unfortunately, we had a funeral of someone who is like our adopted son. He really was best friend to my son, best man in his wedding, and also an active duty Marine. But I tell you this story because you never know who you're going to run into. And the Navy chaplain who was assisting with the funeral just told me that he had just come back to duty because he had stage 4 cancer.
Wow.
And so we had some interesting conversation. Um, and he was very interested in learning more about what we're doing and perhaps a guest on an upcoming podcast because he has had a long battle in treatment. And so now he's very excited to get back to his work. We have a special guest today. Would you like to
Mhm.
introduce?
Well, I'll let him introduce you, but it is interesting that you mentioned something with the armed forces because there is a relation there. And we can always relate to folks in the armed forces in the cancer world as well. They're different scenarios. However, I think it's very relatable in the idea that anybody who works in the armed forces has been a part of some pretty traumatic things at times. Trauma comes in different forms, and it can affect people of all shapes and sizes. So it's interesting you mentioned armed forces, but our friend here has started a business simply sharing his story. And we can't wait to share that because we can relate anything to cancer, but also we want to be able to relate to anybody besides just cancer survivors or thrivers. It's going to be pretty touching. And so we look forward to introducing our upcoming guest. Just in case you folks forget who are these silly little ladies that are sitting here, we're not just, your people that are walking down the road. My name is Shelley from Sparkling Survivor. I am a cancer thriver, but also an oncology nurse by trade. And Michelle here will remind you who she is too.
Yes. So I am an oncology social worker and I have over 20 years of experience in the medical field. So I've worked in hospice and I've worked in all aspects of oncology.
So, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do have a pretty important guest, and this is Bo, and he started surviving depression. He's going to just tell us a little bit about his story, how it came about that he decided to start this nonprofit organization. And I think that it's something that we can definitely relate to many people, not just cancer related, but it definitely is a cancer related topic. So we thought we'd invite him to join us on the episode of Wine with Shelley and Shelley. Bo, do you want to tell us a little bit about your business, Surviving Depression?
Sure. I started Surviving Depression Inc. It was just a little over 3 years ago. In fact, I started it. I had been off work for probably 3 weeks. I had just had a knee replaced, and I was one of the lowest points of my life, depression-wise. I couldn't get out of it. I was doing nothing, and you couldn't do anything. Doctor's orders, you can't do anything.
Right.
So I was reaching for anything is probably the truth. And I found
Sure.
Doing something like Surviving Depression, and that's when I started it. And I figured if I could talk about it, then it might be able to help somebody. So,
And that's exciting because I find that it's hard for the male format to really be able to share more than just like anger. I think that oftentimes our emotions are very complicated and we really haven't been taught how to associate more than just I'm angry. Well, what is causing that anger? It just exacerbates that way in men, and they definitely don't have safety in talking about it. So that's why I was excited to invite you on this show because we really need to start engaging in real conversations and being safe about it. And what an honor to be sitting here with you as a male to share that it's okay to not be okay. That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
That's very courageous. And I want to say welcome as well to you. And Shelley makes an excellent point. Many people, myself included, when I am getting in the depths of hell, so to speak, I retreat inward and I become very reclusive and I don't want to talk to people. And I even though I know,
You describe my life.
right?
Yes.
But you know what you need to do, but to take those steps and actually do it is
It's paralyzing.
it is
Mhm.
paralyzing. What was going on in your life, if I may ask, besides you were having this knee replacement, so this medical issue?
It was just another low point. 20, 28 years ago now, I made
He's just aging himself. Do not do the math, people. It was when he was 2. Don't even sit there and count on your fingers and go 20. No, it was 2 years old.
It's a while
It
ago.
was the first.
It's a while ago.
So about 28 years ago.
I was doing everything I wanted to do. And up until that point, I had done everything I wanted to do. Military, and I was in, I think, maybe the 3rd year of an apprenticeship, at which I had worked very hard to get, and it took me a while to get it. But I was doing everything the way I wanted to do it and how I wanted to do it and when I wanted to do it. And I was so depressed that I almost took my life.
Mhm.
I made every preparation to do that.
Yeah, right. And this is somebody who is active in the community, active in sports, active in, family and friends. I mean, you weren't just somebody who maybe we would traditionally put into a box of like they're surviving depression, right? You really like didn't portray that on the external. You were active and nobody on the planet would recognize you as, wow, he's dealing with something inside.
Nobody ever knew.
So it's interesting how we can carry a persona out in the world,
Oh, yeah.
but inside we are freaking out. And I guarantee you, almost anybody listening at some point in their life can relate to that. I don't care who you are. Every single person has. If they haven't, there will be a point in their life where they will see that and go, wow, that is a scary space to be in, and to feel alone by yourself. And you were to the point where you were successful in everything you wanted to do. And yet there was a piece of you that said,
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Yeah.
What branch of service?
Army
Were you-
Reserve,
Right. And how long did you serve?
6 years.
Thank you for your service to
Thank
you
you.
and your family.
I saw a lot of things.
Yeah. And your first
Lot of
episode
interesting
of depression
places.
was before service or after service?
During service.
During
And I couldn't say a word about it.
Right. That is That is a
I dealt
pretty,
with explosives.
right.
So it's not like something I could tell anybody.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Right.
I took a little time off from it, but not much. I couldn't.
Mhm.
I think at the time I was a platoon sergeant at the time. So, you can't tell anybody that.
Right.
Mhm.
I think they would have probably processed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would sure think so.
I guess I wouldn't blame them if they did. I would
Right.
understand it.
Right. It's anything. It's similar to like if you're missing a body part, they probably would have to circulate you out of that. If you're physically not able, mentally, they would probably still assume the same. But the interesting thing is you can hide behind a mask.
Oh, I had it. They never knew.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
But isn't this interesting how we treat people? There's such a stigma attached to, first of all, any type of mental illness and especially depression. And I don't know about you guys, but what I kind of take away from, the stigma is if you have any kind of mental illness and any kind of depression, all of a sudden you are somehow not capable anymore, which is absolutely not the case. And we expect that people can go through very heavy, very traumatic, life-changing, life-altering events and you're just supposed to be okay. You're supposed to put your post out on Facebook, right?
On
So everybody
Instagram,
knows.
How wonderful the world is, and
Right.
you know how everything is just rosy, but that's not how we're built.
Right.
We're not built to do certain things and feel good about it. We're not built to experience certain things and just pick up and go on
Yeah.
the next day. It
What
just-
sort of has bothered me through the years was this is in my family. I mean, everywhere in my family. And nobody talks about it.
You are the
Ever.
first.
Yeah.
Not even now, right? There's very
They had some interest. I went to a family reunion a year ago, I think, and they were very interested because they all see it.
Mhm.
Everybody sees it.
Mhm.
Nobody talks about it. And it's like, well, how bad does it have to get
right.
Mhm.
before we're going to actually talk about it? Or,
Right.
it's not like you're going to fix it,
No.
but you can talk about it, maybe prepare yourself for it, understand that other people are going through the same thing you are, but it never feels that way.
Right.
You just feel alone and paralyzed, and
Sure.
you can't do anything, and you can, but you just don't. I just don't. I hate when I do that. When I talk about other people, I don't.
Right. I think some people we don't have enough tools, and if you already you learned this through your family relationships, right? So this is the interesting thing that I find very interesting just in general, and I can personally speak of this, is growing up in the household where you have a family member that's dealing with depression, right? So they're depressed. So as a child, you actually learn that mind process unknowingly. So this isn't always about like a genetic piece. This is actually like learned behavior that we as
Yes.
children don't even understand.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, this is how we're supposed to think. So we actually learn. What's cool though is now you're recognizing it. And all of us either recognize it and do something with that and start to unlearn those traits, which is so much work, and it's hard to do. It's hard to unlearn something that was already built in to our minds and our bodies and souls.
As you know, Sparkling Survivor and Breathe Inc. are both cancer-related organizations, and that we partner together. We're very interested in your organization because I have not met one person who has been diagnosed with cancer that hasn't gone through the stages of grief and feeling isolated and feeling alone and feeling at some point angry, asking why me? And what am I going to do? And all those feelings that come along with, just feeling depressed and out of control and helpless.
And even if it's not the actual person going through cancer, it's their loved ones. It's
Yes.
not just about the person experiencing the cancer, but family and friends actually somewhat have certain, depending on your closeness. I think they actually have some of the similar things. I don't think they necessarily share that with that individual because they got to buck up and be strong. That's what we do in America, is we buck up and be strong instead of actually sharing that. And what we think is great is something like Surviving Depression Incorporated allows people to know that you understand and you're out there sharing your experience. And we were kind of curious as to if you had anybody that in particular reached out to you. What kind of wins have happened with that? Is there somebody that just really recognized, wow, thank you for sharing, I don't feel alone? What kind of experiences have happened with that?
A lot of it's on social media. So people will send emails and messages and things like that, which, to be honest, it gets tough to read sometimes
I bet.
So sure.
because there's just so much of it. It's just everywhere, I know that a friend of mine was in a pretty bad place. It wasn't that long ago, and I told him that, and he knows about me. We're pretty good friends, and I told him that, what I have considered is, what have I done in the last 28 years since that day, because, that day was supposed to be the end. So what have I done since then? And I've done a lot since then.
Mhm.
And I think what I told him was none of those things would be done if I went through with it. And he said, God, I never thought about it that way. And I said, well, does it help you to think about it that way? I mean, that's just the way we talk to each other. If it's, it might sound stupid to me, but it doesn't sound stupid to him or whatever,
Mhm.
it's those little stupid thoughts that I have sometimes that
Mhm.
if I actually say them to somebody, sometimes they laugh and say, "But that sounds really stupid." But other times, if it helps them, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it's just something that's just been rolling around in my head for a while, and I just threw it out there on the table, and somebody was actually listening, and like for him, he has said numerous times things about that since then, and I I've thought, okay, well, it's something.
Mhm.
And if it can help him, then, because he deals with the same thing I do.
Okay.
He has depression too, and it's been lifelong.
Mhm.
So he's always dealt with it. We knew each other as kids.
So just being able to help your friend really has made a difference just by sharing how I call it asshole brain, everyone, because I think that depression is a big asshole. And so if we start to just make fun of it, right, then we're getting the upper hand on that asshole brain. So when you recognize,
I have to be careful
you got to tell the asshole brain to
because
where to go.
it could come back at me.
No, you're gonna win this time.
It's gonna hear it.
It's true. You got to be careful around that asshole brain because everybody has it. Everybody has a piece of where you have that glimpse of something that like tells you, oh, you can't do this or whatever it might be. And you just go, excuse me. Excuse me. And
Yes.
you sharing that with your friend helps him recognize that he's kind of got that little asshole brain too. We get the upper hand when we start to know that that little stinker is creeping up on us. And sometimes we get a hold of them and say, we're not doing that. And sometimes it creeps up and slaps us. And you were mentioning something about how, you and your daughter were relating on that level with, some of the depression and what we were just discussing with kind of a little asshole brain that gets in our brain and says, ha ha, you can't do this, or you're not good enough, or whatever it might be.
Yes, we were talking about, I was kind of having a down day where I felt like with Breathe, I wasn't doing enough. I felt completely overwhelmed because still working a full-time job. And, I was saying like something has to break. There has to be a transition. I can't keep going at the pace that I'm going. But yet
She's in my head.
I am.
I know.
You're in my head, right? And it's like, but
And
this is good stuff.
see how this stuff happens, everyone. This is what happens. And I'm sure everybody else on here is going, oh my God, she's part of my head.
People do that.
It's called asshole brain.
Yeah.
It is. It's so true. But when we stay isolated and alone, we get stuck, and we just go to darker and darker places. And I had just been on a phone conversation with my daughter, and I was just kind of lamenting. I was having a pity party, having a moment, and she just said to me, "Mom, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing." And that's the only thing that's ever really mattered to me in life, was that I did something that my children, that made them proud.
Mhm.
Because we want to be proud of our kids, right? And the things that they do, and the humans that they grow into, the adults they grow into. And I thought, well, that's all I want too, is for my kids to feel like I'm a good person and that I'm doing something
I like
that
it that
makes them
she
proud.
knew enough to say that.
Exactly.
She did. And then not
That is
only
amazing
Yeah.
to have heard that, I'm sure.
she's a wonderful, she's grown into such a beautiful young woman. But
little
she
mini
not
me.
only
Little
said, I'm proud of you, but she said, Mom, what if you wouldn't have done it? If you stopped tomorrow, you helped all of these people that would not have received that help
Mhm.
had you not taken the, initiative and
And the chance.
wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And she, there's a lot of depression in our family, at both sides, their father's side, my side. And so we all struggle with it at different times and in different ways. But of course, nobody wants to really own it.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to feel incompetent. Nobody wants to feel like there's something wrong with you, with us. And so it gets it to be quite a struggle at times. And the other thing is, like, being in the military, there are certain, like a lot of our jobs, our day jobs, it's not okay. It's
Mhm.
not safe to be experiencing this. And the first thing is you have to utilize your insurance and go see a traditional therapist. Traditional therapy does not work for everyone. And you don't always want to, have to use your insurance because now there's documentation
Mhm.
and now there's a paper trail.
Yep.
And sometimes that has significant consequences for people in their occupation.
Unfortunately, in occupations or walking in the settings and having people unknowingly even have an automatic, well, they have this diagnosis. And then slowly people feel unheard. So then you got a diagnosis, and now you're walking into spaces and people are like, oh, oh my God, they got depression or they got anxiety, they got PTSD, or they have all these labels that we decide to slap on them because we got to
Mhm.
make sure. Now, the intention was great. The intention actually was so we understood it, so we could have a grasp on, okay, this is your diagnosis, but do you have to be that diagnosis is the question I have for any of these things. We have this diagnosis so we can understand ourselves, and then we get to unlearn some of the learned things.
Right? We develop survival skills, which really help us get through the moment. But on the other side of it, they're not always useful.
Correct.
And they can be more toxic than useful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Destructive than useful on the other side. So I'm really interested, Bo, in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
How do people get in touch with you? And then once they get in touch with you, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
As far as up until now, it is only just, well, it hasn't only been. Most of it is social media. There has been some face-to-face interactions and stuff with people that know me and things like that. We're looking into how to incorporate more of an advocacy
Mhm.
with it, because I think that when you go to the I've done this numerous times. You go to the doctor, they give you a diagnosis, they give you a pill, and then it's check in a month. We'll see how the pill is working, and in a month, there's not really much of anything.
No, it takes about at least 6 weeks for any of those medications to really do anything if it's a chemical imbalance, at least.
And every time I did that, it was basically wait 6 months. And then at 6 months, I wanted it to work so bad
Mhm.
that I said it was working. I asked my wife, who was the real judge. She says, no, it's not working. And that was how it went for, well, forever. Long time.
Long time. And I think many people could recognize that. It's just you go in and like you were saying earlier, that traditional talk therapy isn't always the answer, but there are different therapies that I actually think can be extremely valuable that don't involve rehashing and bringing up past. Now, do I think that's an avenue that we can go? Absolutely. But do we know that there's other things like, we have our friend over here who's a dog. The things that animals can do for people, whether it's
Absolutely.
bringing somebody into equine therapy. There's something called Gestalt. Does anybody even know what that is? Probably not.
I've heard
But
that.
these people have actually learned to watch what an animal is doing in relation to the person in that space, and to understand what that animal is doing is something that we actually can't even scientifically prove, because there's energy work that's happening with that animal that you, myself, and Michelle, we wouldn't even know it's happening. But it's happening. And so if you even allow somebody to spend time with a dog or a horse or a cat, that's just one area. But how many other areas can we bring people into spaces that can really be more beneficial for them and understanding them? It's not black and white. So you may not like dogs at all and go, absolutely not. But you might be more interested in something alternative that isn't just talk therapy and let's talk about it.
Mhm.
You might be interested in something completely different that's maybe energy work or any other therapy that's out there.
I've talked with a therapist one time, and she helped me more than anybody did. It was helpful for me.
Good.
I think it was gonna run its course though,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't really that honest. It's like, when you go to the doctor, you're supposed to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about mental illness, there's honesty is, for me, it's skin deep. It's, I know
you
I know you have to, I know you're supposed to, but it's hard to do, when they're
It
going to
is
look at you
very
and go,
hard
oh
to
my
do.
gosh, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peel back the layers.
Yeah.
We're like little onions sitting
Mhm.
here. And to do that is challenging. And creating that relationship is going to take time. And so it's interesting you said that you got relief. What stopped you from going back?
She moved away or
Dang it.
retired or something. I
Another
lost her.
loss.
Dang
Yep,
it.
I lost her.
Yes.
Another loss.
Mhm.
And that's something that I don't think we give enough attention to. Layers of events, layers of grief, layers of loss, layers of difficulty. It compounds.
Mhm. Well, and you think about it, you live your whole life. There may have been something years ago that you saw that you didn't really think about, and something brings it to the front of your brain, and now you have to deal with it.
Mhm.
And if you never did deal with it or don't know how to deal with it, then you're kind of stuck with it. And if you can't get past it, it's just something that sort of keeps coming back, and you just keep pushing it down, and you never really deal with it. So, I mean, if you can deal with it, it's nice. She helped me better than I think I've seen 4 psychiatrists. She helped me more than they did.
Mhm.
And I think it was basically just because, you go in and they give you a diagnosis and give you a pill, and this is supposed to help. And, it, as far as I knew, it never really did.
Yeah.
Well, I give you so much credit because we live in a society where, I'm always absolutely blown away at the medical field in that we have so much research in so many different areas, right? We talk about cardiac, like we can now do a heart surgery and the person can be discharged the same day as an outpatient service. It's like, and we have all these tests, we have all these diagnostic imaging and things, but why do we not have the technology, or why isn't the technology affordable to take a young child and screen them
Mhm.
for a chemical imbalance,
Mhm.
for some of these issues? Or, when adults are struggling, why can't you go in and get some type of thermal imaging, MRI, CT, whatever it would be, to specifically diagnose what's happening?
Mhm.
Because I think part of the frustration for so many people too is that it's an experiment.
Mhm.
And so they're throwing pills at you, but they don't really know what milligram, what pill is going to be the magic for you.
Yeah.
And so people get frustrated along the way.
Well, a lot
with
of
the process.
times, if you're at the end of your rope,
You don't have it in you to
You don't-
even go any further than that.
there's times I think I would usually go see somebody when it was really bad. That's when I would go. Usually my wife telling me that I need to
Thank
go
God
see
for
somebody.
wives. Let's just talk about that. Thank
Oh, yeah.
God for wives.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
So, Bo, tell me, in a perfect world, with your organization, your nonprofit, Surviving Depression, 5 years from now, what would that organization look like?
We're crisscrossing the country talking about it
Mhm.
to whoever will listen, because we're trying, but it's hard to get people to listen. I mean, people that have gone through it, they've sort of, they understand what you're talking about. They may have had a loved one go through it or going through it. They know what you're talking about. But if you've really never seen it, it's just kind of, it's something else that's like, maybe it happens to me, maybe it doesn't. But even if it's not lifelong, I've known people that are gone now and that I'm aware of, they didn't have lifelong anything. As far as I know, it was brought on by something, and they're not here. And life goes on, and we just keep doing the same thing, basically.
So, Bo, how do people find you?
Everything we have can be found on our website, which is at Surviving Depression Inc. That's just what I type in.
Surviving Depression Inc.
Okay.
And then do you have a
there's
Facebook as well?
videos on there, and you can get to Facebook from there. You can get to all the social media from there. But the Facebook, there's two. There's one is just Surviving Depression.
Okay.
But there's two pages. One is a business page. One is not a business page. So the
Okay.
business page is Surviving Depression Inc. also.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they can find you, and once in a while when you post a video, you can find it on both the website and social.
Yeah, on the website, there's a link for our videos,
Okay.
which are on YouTube. There's some new videos on there, but I haven't done one in 18 weeks, 17 weeks.
Ooh, 18 weeks. I will just say that we all have to be patient and kind
Yes.
to ourselves,
Yep.
because when you're constantly exposed to trauma and when you're constantly exposed to some devastating stories, right? I mean, that takes its toll in and of itself. And so, I know that I have to remind myself, like, you can't save the world, and it's okay if you need to take a breath, and you're not on it 24/7, or
No.
you're not getting back to someone right away. Like, we have to prioritize taking care of ourselves.
Yep.
Because otherwise we can't take care of anyone else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 17 weeks ago, I don't know if you knew this.
What?
17 weeks ago Sunday, I stopped my opioid addiction. Did I tell you that?
I might know things.
10 years.
Congratulations. That is not an easy
That's
task.
a whole nother conversation that the world could talk about, right?
And it was all legal. Yeah.
Sure.
All
Oh, so we're going to have
prescribed.
to have you back as a
Yeah.
guest and
Yeah.
talking about that.
Because
That's actually why there hasn't been anything. It's been a struggle. You know?
Sure.
It's been
Struggle every day.
Well, first of all,
Tough.
congratulations.
thanks.
One step at a time, one day at a time. And that's true for anybody, anywhere, anything. Sometimes that's all we can do is ask for, thankful for the day, and thankful that we've succeeded in that day, and hope for a new day. And then what do we do next with that? So that would be a great conversation in the future, because that's probably a topic that we wouldn't even think to talk about with cancer, because we definitely use that space of opiates with pain relief and such. But that's an epidemic in itself. And so
Because mine just started with an injury.
right.
Started with an injury 15 years ago. And
snowball from there. But we will be back because I'm pretty sure he's going to be back to have a conversation about that as well as some other pop-up topics.
Absolutely. So, Bo, thank you for coming on. Thank you for what you're doing. And I'm just going to encourage you to keep going. It's not about perfection, right? But you are doing a lot of good and helping a lot of people just by merely being willing to have the courage to share your story and to reach out to someone else in need.
Thanks.
Yep. And that's the utmost important, is the courage of just doing something. That's all we need.
Hopefully somebody hears it.
There's
it
a
can
win.
benefit from it.
There is a win.
Yeah.
There's a win
So
there.
again, if you would like to check out Bo's website, please do. And also make sure you follow him on Facebook.
Yes. Yes. And that's what we strive to do. Sparkling Survivor and Breathe Incorporated. We're not just about what we're doing, but what is everybody else doing? There's a lot of great resources out there that, God, I can't wait to see how many other resources we can share with the listeners and people that might find us, because I think that our goal is to just share stories, but also share resources and small business and all these things that maybe somebody wouldn't have heard about until they maybe listened, or, and if anybody has any suggestions, if somebody wants to be a guest, whether they have a business, they have a story to tell that's cancer related, they were walking alongside of a family member or a friend that had cancer, we're open to any kind of guest format that way. And so we invite you to send us a message. You can find us on both sparklingsurvivorllc.com and breatheinc.org, as well as we are both on social media, both Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And so
Yes.
if you reach Shelly, you've reached Shelly. So
And if you
Shelly,
reach
Shelly,
You've reached.
like basically
Shelly.
Shelly. What
There you go.
difference? Same thing.
That's it. Thank you for listening. And we look forward to you tuning in for our next episode. Thank you for joining us today on Wine with Shelly.
And Shelly.
We appreciate your support and listening to our amazing guest stories. This podcast is brought to you by
An oncology survivor nurse.
and an oncology social worker.
We both own organizations led by women who are making a real difference in the lives of cancer patients and their families. Breathe Incorporated and Sparkling Survivor LLC.
Remember, there are many ways to get involved and support the fight against cancer. You can donate to our organization, volunteer your time, or simply spread awareness about us.
And if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast to share your cancer journey, a caregiver story, or even your business's supportive services, please reach out.
We'll be back soon with another inspiring episode. In the meantime, be sure to check out our websites and follow us on social media.
And remember, together
We can breathe.
and become sparkling survivors.